Brother.
Yeah.
What's up, FIFO here? We got my boy Samnang Man, co-host Danny Marowinski, and this is Flow In, Flow Out. We are here to help raise the collective vibrations through sharing our stories as we grow. We encourage our audience to grow along with us. New episodes come out every Monday at 6 a.m., Friday at 4 p.m. And yeah, this whole thing started. Sam Ning and I both just kind of share similar content on social media, connected. And the next episode, Sam Ning was like, hey, man, let's just record this and turn this into a podcast. So here we are. We're on episode 17. We've had a
Yeah.
handful of guests in the past and keeping this thing alive and strong here. So,
Yeah. Episode 17. And the thing is, like, what I'm proud of is that it's a collection of everybody, some of our high school friends, a collaboration, and it's a space for me to express my thoughts and my feelings. And like I said, it's a little bit of a therapy practice for me to express how I feel and what I'm doing as well too, and feeling that I'm connected to my listeners and be able to connect with Danny as well too on a different space. Like we haven't met for 20 years, and we didn't even know each other in high school, or we kind of knew of each other, but like we didn't know even like we weren't even friends. And
we knew of each other.
yeah, we knew of each other. But 20 years later, it's like, okay, we're here and we haven't still even met in person. It's been all online. And I was just thinking about it. It's like that. I mean, I made some really good friends in these last couple of months just because I started changing who I was. After you get married and go through divorce and stuff, your identity just gets lost. So I've been able to do a lot of personal development work, and that's why I have so much to share, so much thoughts to do and things to put out. It's such a compelling vision for me to do it. And then when you came uh, and we met and stuff, it's like you're heading in the right or the same direction I am. I can't say it's the right direction or not. Everybody's direction is on their own, and I was heading in my direction. Oh, sorry, I was heading on my direction, and Danny was basically heading in his direction. I was like, let's uh let's hang out, I guess, and it's a real. That's how I make friends. I love making friends like organically, like whether it's in the gym or at college or school or just in like different communities and stuff. It's just me just being myself and genuinely liking to help people. So this podcast to me, I'm proud of because it helps people. It helps me. It helps Danny to get our thoughts out, and eventually, the more people that listens to it and stuff, hopefully it inspires the way to challenge them in different ways that they might not be doing what they are doing now. And that's my why for today. How about that?
I love it, man. No, I think, you hit a lot of things on the nails on the head, right? And I think one of the things that I've been trying to lean in more on my own end of it is, you know, I heard this yesterday and I really liked it. Creating into problems, right? So as you go through entrepreneurship, you start to get some success and things like that that's going on in my world. I have to lean into the things that I'm often, struggle with and or procrastinate against because of, it being a challenge or an issue or whatever the case is. So the cool thing about this podcast, we kind of going along the same thread of what you just said is, neither of us have started a podcast before. I think I've been on a bunch, but like I've never actually ran it or hosted it
Yeah,
ourselves. And so, just leaning into this and creating new problems, right? Creating into the problem, I should say, which is starting a podcast. So everything from production to, marketing it to the tools, the show notes, the whole nine, the guests, getting into 17 episodes of it, come a long way from just a recorded Zoom and a YouTube
yeah.
channel. So
I mean, the fact that like we're not getting paid, but the fact that we just learned this whole new skill, like we picked up this. You picked up Riverside. I played around with it. I see the tools that's involved in it. I see the timing, the organization, the content that we need to talk about and stuff. It's like that is valuable skills. And actually, maybe I talk about my weekend because my weekend was really like the entrepreneurship roller coaster ride this weekend.
Yeah, dude. What happened, man?
Uh, it's like so I did I got some coaches. I hired some coaches, and basically we're running Alex Hormozzi's playbook, right? So I'm getting coached on it, and basically we're going through the creating the ideal customer, and then we're going through right now we're in the process of creating the offer, right? And the offer we have to find pain points, major pain points and stuff. So I have my ideal customer, but the pain points uh, it's hard to find. One, I got assistance with some of the coaches and how like to search for it, but the pain points were actually really painful for me because, like I told you like I meditate and stuff, and I was meditating trying to figure out what my pain points for because my target customer is basically like me uh, a year ago, right? Somebody that's
Hmm.
going to parenting change, somebody that's going through like a transition, maybe a divorce, maybe a separation, or maybe they're going into being a new father, right? There's that transition where it's like very, very hard. There's a lot of uncertainty when there's a lot of like crisis going on, like different things that you had to make decision. Okay, so it's like how do you make that transition between hey from future father to father, maybe from father to like me, single father, or from father to like old father. There's like fathers like my dad. He's 69. He's still a father, like to us, but we've grown and we've changed and stuff. How do we navigate that kind of stuff, right? So I think that's kind of like me. Like this is what I thought about all weekend, but for me to meditate on that was actually very painful for me, like emotionally, like painful. This is like you want to hear like talking about like raw emotions and stuff. Like I had to go back through all the pain that I was suffering and jotting it down and writing it. Right. That's very for me it was very painful, but it felt it came from the heart, and I am I feel like it's the right thing to do, right? To work with your heart and really want to be of service. So I think the great thing about my coaches that I hired, they're faith based coaches. I'm spiritual as well too, so I want to incorporate more of my spiritual into my work and stuff too. So and maybe teach other people how to do that as well too, because I think as we balance like getting older, us men, we try to find more purpose and meaning into our work. So when we try to find more purpose and meaning into our work, that's I believe it's a spiritual practice. I think we all should, even if we're have a certain job, we as a person could influence, like especially strong masculine men that like have values and stuff and continue to build. They will influence people more. And my thought process is okay. Let's strengthen fathers because fathers are meant to be strong, right? If you're a father and you're weak, you're not going to be able to lead your family. You're not going to be able to do the things that you need to do. So this is part of like to me it's like it feels so compelling. It's like a mission and stuff. I want to share it. I want to talk about it and stuff. And a lot of people have been supporting me, you know, but this podcast helps me a lot because I could share stuff like this. And then I had some very hard conversations with like my brothers, my family about what I'm doing. Really just asking for support, and it doesn't have to be like money support or anything. Just knowing that, hey, look, this is what I'm working on, and it's not that I don't want to hang out with you. It's just that this is what I'm really like focusing on, and it sorry, it's this technique. It's like I use it's when you want to learn something, especially on the stuff that I'm learning right now is very difficult. Like I've never built a website before. I've never built a coaching business before. So it's like there's a lot of uncertainty, right? Sometimes I talked about the uncertainty. The uncertainty could
Create
really
into the problem, bro. Rob Deerdeck, man, I'm gonna tag him in this one just because I absolutely loved. I posted on my Instagram last night, but I absolutely loved his little spiel about that. Right, you create into the problem, and I think you hit the nail on the head with like the difficulty, right? because you have a very unique product, and there's a lot of stormy seas to navigate to get to, finally work with somebody. Because as a man, we have typically a larger ego that we have to battle, right? And we have to, you have to almost find someone that's like, you know what, I'm ready to be better. I'm ready to take this next step in my journey, or I want to be better, or whatever the case is, which is that's a shot almost to our ego, right? Because oftentimes we live in this world where we're in constant competition with our peers. We're trying to impress each other. We're trying to do all these different things. So to like say, hey, I need help, or like, hey, I got this other issue next to me that I can't just break through from. Um, that's a challenge, man. I know it was a challenge for me when I started my journey, and it's extremely hard. It's to open up about. It's also almost very intimate, right?
Yeah.
Of being able to talk to folks on that level, but I what I found, it's at least from just me looking at the world, right? There's so many people out there that they post, a life, and then they live a separate life outside of social media. And the folks that have started to like open up about their personal journey, that I've started, maybe it's just the red car thing, right? Like just because I post a lot of
Yeah.
content around that, I consume a lot of content around it, so I'm constantly consuming content from other men that are like putting themselves out there and like, hey, I'm trying to become a better human being. But there's a good bit. It's almost like you got to like find those guys that are about to enter into midlife crisis. Like maybe you should sit by the Corvette dealership and just hang out and just be like, hey, 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 before you do that, come here real quick.
You just want to buy a program. Yeah, that's how you
Uh,
hustle.
right. But I'll tell you, there is one thing that I don't know if you've tried this yet or not. This is something that is foundational to our lead gen strategy, and our kind of bigger bread and butter of our business, which is the art of the cold call, talking to total strangers. So I talk about this, Hormozy talks about this too, right? Where it's you have the one to one kind of marketing, if you will, where you just simply call people our age, middle age, so on and so forth, and you're just trying to get feedback off of the call, right? So it's not so much that you're trying to push a sale. At least I wouldn't even go down that
It,
route out
it's,
of the gates.
it's a cold call now. So I find it so easy just to ping somebody on instant message. Ping, ping, ping. Is that a cold call?
It's a cold outreach, it's a cold DM,
For
but
me,
there's
that's
something.
amazing. I've gotten so many people like to start conversations just because, um, like when I say phone call, like I don't have any phone numbers like in my database. I have like 60 or 80 emails. I was like, okay, let me start with those emails. But I have 1,900 on Instagram or like 2,000 on Instagram. I have about 2,000 on Facebook and stuff. It's like me like I've been able to get conversation started. It's like a lead, right? For me,
Hmm.
it feels like it's a lead because if they
It
like
is.
a post about health or nutrition, that's a lead. They like it, and I send them a message. And then if they're engaging, they're still a lead. And those are some of the people that I have gotten to join Peak Performance Academy or even jump on coaching calls. So to me,
So
I think
I have a tool for you that it's called seamless.ai. It's super expensive. It's kind of like a Zoom info, but happy to work with you on this and get you some contacts. But basically, it's a scraper that you can plug in whatever criteria you want. So you could pick job title, you could pick, what company that they work for, what geographic, the location that they're in. It'll spit out a list for you, and it'll come up with phone numbers, emails, social media handles, so on and so forth. So that's what we use when we're prospecting cold.
might be
And I do think that they're
the
so a
scaling.
DM is a great way to start, right? And obviously you're using the tools that you have. So being able to shoot off DMs, you can do a bunch of them and test the message out that way. But think about it from the receiving end, right? So don't think about it from your end. Don't think about it from you. Think about it from the receiving end
Yeah.
of A, because it's on social media, it's through a DM. or text, I can hide a little bit, right? I can still hide myself. So I can hide from the message. I can tweak my own message on it, or I can just flat out ignore the message. So I have a lot more room to kind of cater my message backwards. And as pure cold call, the reason why I love the cold call angle when it comes to digital marketing is because it gives you absolute immediate feedback right then
Mm.
and there, and it helps you rework your message, get more concise, and find the right type of message that actually makes it tick, right? So if you do 1,000 calls, which you've been in the cold call game before, you've done it before, and I mean, 1,000, like my crew averages about 30 calls an hour, so we can knock out 1,000 calls in 2 weeks, basically. But after about 1,000 calls, if you have a decent connection rate, call it you're connecting with like one out of every 30 people, you're getting a real number, and they're actually answering the phone. Each time you get that chance is your chance to kind of have that conversation and work your script. Now, what's interesting about the script, right, is you might start with like, you could probably start with something that might fail and then you get better, right? So, for instance,
Yeah.
like, hi, Samnang. This is Danny here, calling with Peak Performance Academy. Hey, quick question. Have you been feeling that your testosterone levels are a little bit low? Click, right? So you can test those things out until you finally find the right angle in which people start to feel comfortable and open up. So what we've done is we're trying to get people to share their story. And I think that there's something to be said about having empathy and respect for where people are in their life, right? And I think if you take that angle first of trying to get them to open up about what accomplishments that they've done so far, and everybody to at any, it doesn't matter what they are, it doesn't matter if they're a McDonald's employee, it doesn't matter who they are, they've done certain things in their life and they have had their own successes in their own way, and that's typically the easiest thing for them to talk about. So if we show respect for their time and we show respect for what they've done, where they're currently at, and get them to open up about a story, about
Mm.
their story,
Mm.
then all of a sudden they'll start to naturally tell you the things that they did great and the things that they're working on.
Right.
And that's where you can start to find out those synergies. And then it's up to you because in a cold call, you initiate the call. It's your conversation.
Yeah.
So if you can get them talking, then you can guide them through the appropriate questioning to get them to the point of them saying, I have been doing some personal development. I am struggling with this or that. And then that's, of course, the part that you can interject in and say, look, how about this? I know I caught you out of the blue. I'm happy to do a one on one free call for you. Let me give you an assessment. I'll give you a plan, something of value, right? That's bringing them back to your core offer. And like Hormozy talks about, the offer needs to be so powerful and have so much value that when they walk away, when you think about the offer, don't think about, this is the other thing that I also, we're working on that's working really well. Yes, there needs to be some type of tangible value that they get back, whether that be some type of digital collateral like an ebook or a written up assessment or something like that. That's definitely a part of it. But more important than that, the experience that you give them. The experience needs to be so over the top that when they get off that initial offer with you, they're like, wow, that was incredible. I would have paid for that. Like,
Yeah.
that was an amazing experience. And as you start to do that through the cold calling, the one on one marketing, you're going to start to find these little nuggets of truth within your line of work, either in your line of business, that's either A, getting people to open up faster,
Yeah.
or it's getting them to turn around and be like, that was amazing. And you're going to start to find these things out. And then that's where you start to build your digital message, because in the digital landscape, we're just doing the same type of messaging, but we're doing it at scale.
Yeah.
So if you were to go through and build a huge funnel and do all this and do all that, and then, you're already spending all this time and energy and resources and building out a funnel, and then you're going to craft the offer, you're going to craft the message, and you're doing this all behind a closed curtain, working your mastermind of what you think is
Yeah.
going to be the right path for the world. And then you go out and you try and market it, and then you maybe even go a step further and throw money behind it and start to run a paid ad, and you find out you're getting absolutely nothing out of it. And it's very demoralizing as a business owner when you go through that process, because that's where you typically find out, and you hear from business owners, we hear it all the time, where it's like, well, my marketing didn't work. I've paid thousands of dollars. I've never gotten a lead. I've done this, I've done that. And it's like, well, yeah, when was the last time you talked to somebody about this offer? When was the
Yeah.
last time you actually put yourself out on the line? Right? And it almost forces you to have skin in the game as an
Yeah.
owner to actually talk about it. So I highly encourage
love,
you,
I
right?
love organic outreach. Like for me, I'm a fan of organic outreach, and I could do it. I'm not uncomfortable with putting myself out there and pinging people and messages. So that's a strategy that I've been just kind of implementing, just here and there, but just more recently because of the business and stuff. But that strategy is it's fantastic. I love it. So like cold calling for me, I guess it's different because I haven't paid for any like phone call lists or anything. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I think that might be a step in when I get my core offer and get the offer and everything down and system down, and then that sounds like it's a next step. But I think also too, I'm working with this coaching program. We're gonna have a CRM where I could actually message people through that, send videos, and keep track of it through Facebook and stuff. And I didn't realize this that like before this program is Facebook has a professional profile, and I just switched it over. I really didn't realize that until I started the program, and I was like, like this small stuff. You're like, that's a lot of value that I just learned. Like immediately. So it's like I think I talked about it on uh, my Instagram about time versus value and stuff, or time and money as an investment and stuff. I could have learned all this stuff. I could have like I've been doing a lot of it on my own, just by like research and getting coached by people and everything. But this was for me as like it was a great investment. It's expensive. It's marketing and stuff. I put it towards my marketing budget because marketing for me, I think you could agree that's probably the biggest expense and most important thing when it starts like you're opening up your business is like marketing. So, but like I have a marketing background, but I'm not an expert. All this new strategies and stuff, and that's actually I've been consuming a lot of Alex Hormozzi's content. Like he just popped up because I'm into entrepreneurship, and I got his book. Now I'm watching his YouTube video. Now like I'm in this coaching program that pretty much helps me implement what he's teaching. It's like okay, this is like full immersion and stuff. So it's a practice that I do, so I could get like very productive. Like like it is.
See, here's one for you, because you had mentioned, and I will humbly disagree with you on one part, and that is that it's not a step ahead of where you're currently at. As a matter of fact, as you're crafting your offer, this is exactly the time that you should be testing out the offer with as much feedback as possible outside of what you and your coaches and your mentors have, kind of been guiding you with. You need to test that material to the market, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
That's the
It doesn't
material.
matter if you have Hormozy sitting there right next to you, working with you day in and day out. Yeah, he's going to help you skip a lot of things, but that's because like his value that he brings is the fact that he's talked to tens of thousands of people about this similar type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's why he can accelerate you, because he's already done the actual market research. He's learned more about your ideal customer than you. That's why you'd be willing to, that's why you're consuming his content so much, right? That's where you're getting nuggets of it. So the point is while you're crafting it, you also need to be stacking away these conversations and stacking away these no's as your experience, right? So you could go so far, and this is bold, but this will work, and it's a great exercise for you. Even if you just do one of
Cool.
these, maybe you'll see if you try it this week. Here's my task for you for this week. When you're
Vegas.
out at the grocery store, or you're out at Starbucks, when you're out in public and there's a public setting and there's other people around,
Mm-hmm.
find a guy that looks like your ideal customer, right?
Hmm.
From the outside looking in. So middle aged, maybe it's around our age, whatever the case is. Go up to that person and introduce yourself and just say, hey, listen, I'm a business owner. And if would you be willing, like all I want from you is your feedback. And I want to talk to random people. That's why I'm reaching. That's why I'm talking to you. But all I'm looking for is your feedback. Can I give you my 30-second elevator pitch as to what I do? And I
Yeah.
just want to know if you understand who I am and what I offer, and if it's something that you think would actually resonate with you. And you'd be
Cool.
surprised. I guarantee you, if you catch somebody like that when they're in the middle of,
Working out.
their day to day, they will give you the 30 to 60 seconds out of their time, out of their day to entertain that. And I would
Yeah.
be willing to bet that your conversion rate would be 95 to 99%. You're going to have the one dude out there that's going to be like, no, sorry, bro, I'm out. So what? Okay, cool. See you, bye. Find the next
But
one. But
I
like,
mean, I've done that where the gym is like the perfect place for me. Like, because like one, I have a look like I'm pretty recognizable because I wear like cut off shirts and stuff, and my arms are big as shit. And like I'm a recognizable person, so it's like if I stop somebody, they'll probably like listen. So in the gym, I made a lot of friends in the gym pretty easy. I just have to like put effort into it and stuff, or like pay attention. Maybe what you just said is like a very good thing for me because that was on my radar about. I have conversations all the time at the gym. It's not like
and
when I'm
that's great, dude. And look, the gym is the easier for sure. Like you're comfortable there. You know the gym. You also like it's right on par with everything that you offer and that you're aligned with, right? So that's great that you're doing it there. But what I'm suggesting is go outside of the gym
uh,
into like a grocery store, like I said, or maybe it's at a restaurant you're catching somebody leaving or something of that nature. Like you'll know the appropriate time. Typically, when someone's about to walk out of the
yeah,
grocery store, or if they're like standing in the aisle, like
okay,
staring at the merchandise or something like that. And the reason why I think it's important to get outside of that, A, it's a little bit out of your comfort zone. It's also it's very challenging to
yeah,
go up to some random person and and especially in a place like a grocery store or like a public setting where like everybody has to go and no one's like expecting to get pitched, right? So it's a much bigger challenge for you, but that's a great way to start to work your message and get the immediate feedback because let's say you have a shell of an offer. Call it a 30-minute one-on-one consultation slash virtual assessment. And you think like this is the thing, right? And you've got it structured in such a way that if you had somebody entering into that offer right now, you're prepared enough. You don't have to have the end solution, but you're prepared enough to deliver value back on that.
yeah.
Well, rather than working on that offer more and more and more, this is where I'm saying, okay, go try it.
Go get market feedback. That's
Go
kind of
get
like
the
what
market feedback. That's
feedback. So
it,
that
man. And find out, like, because like I said, they're gonna poke holes in your system naturally, right? And I think if you're just looking for humble feedback from random people, like I said, people are gonna be open to it.
okay.
And I think if you just like tell them where you're at, like, hey, look, I'm a newer business owner. I'm working on growing my business. I'm just looking for your feedback, your honest feedback. Can you give me 30 seconds of your time? Just tell me what you think. Just tell me, was it something that was interesting? Was it not? And then as you go into your elevator pitch, if you spend all 30 seconds talking about you, you're going to start to also hear yourself and you're going to start to hear when you're repeating
All right.
yourself or when you're
You
talking too
know,
long.
a great place that I could go to. There's like 10 minutes away. There's this mall. It's called the Cherry Apple Blossom Mall. It's very cool. It's like very low key. You got old people. It's not like busy or anything, but like there's people there that aren't really in a rush, but they're out. So I think that's where instead of like the grocery store, I think the mall might be a good.
There you
Uh,
go. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
Because
just give it a shot, man. And like that's like just starting with that is such a huge hurdle for a lot of people to do, but it's also immediate feedback. And then you'll start to get hooked, right?
yeah,
And the thing that you'll start to get hooked with And if you've been in sales before, so you understand a little bit of this feeling, but it's totally different when you're doing it for yourself. It's a very different feeling. But like you're going to get hooked on the fact that you had someone's attention for 30 seconds, that you had an at bat, right? That you had a chance to step out on stage. It's going to feel good. And
Yeah.
I think this is so synonymous for a lot of people that are looking to either build a social media platform, build an influencer platform, get into
I
public
mean, even
speaking,
you
whatever
tell me,
the case is.
it's like, man, I'm kind of like fucking nervous, like trying to like thinking about that in my head. I'm like, oh, like I
Yeah,
haven't like cold call like that, or I have done it where I've knocked on doors and stuff. So it's like I just have to think about like, okay, when have I done harder stuff than that? And I was like, okay, like it's uncomfortable for sure. Like say it, like
100%.
it's so uncomfortable. Like I've done it
It's
before though.
it's very uncomfortable, but it's also going to give you just more confidence in what you have to offer anyways.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
not at first, it's going to be a challenge because you're scared. And look, it's totally feasible. Like when we have a new product, when we have like I'll tell you right now, when we in a very short amount of time, our prices went from like $500 a web page to $1,500 a web page. And our prices grew to that point because we became so busy. So I started, when I started talking to people at networking events and things like that, it was very uncomfortable to tell them $1,500 a web page out of the gates. Like all of a sudden, what we would have done for 5, 10 grand, we're now it's 20, $30,000 that we're asking for, right? And then it went even further once we started upping our lead generation prices, and we're taking on clients for $15,000 a pop per month for a minimum of 6 months. It's very uncomfortable, but you have to have enough conviction in what you're doing to understand why it's cost that much, right? And if you understand the value prop very clearly and you can very clearly communicate that, well, then all of a sudden the number becomes a bargain, right? And I remember going through that process myself where it was, I need to get clients and I still need, of course, need to grow the business. But it went from, well, I need the right clients. And then it went from not just that I need the right clients, then it turned into like, well, what really gets me out of bed in the morning? Like, what do I really, really, really love about my job? And it's solving complicated tech problems, but it's also growing businesses. Like I really enjoy growing businesses. I love getting up and thinking about it and running the strategy and getting the team and the
yeah,
troops behind it and then making results and like seeing actual tangible ROI back to the business from our efforts. That's huge for me.
yeah,
So I had enough conviction around all that and I loved it enough that it became way less scary to just throw out my prices to whoever. And some people are like, whoa, that price, like 15 grand a month, that's insane. That's out of my budget. No way. You're charging you, and then you get the judgment around that. You're charging too much. You're this like there's nobody that's ever gonna pay for this,
right, right.
right? All the naysayers and everything else, and like because you've start to actually win these things, then those people are you're like, okay, well maybe you're not the right fit for it, and I'm not trying to sell you on it anyways,
Right,
right?
right.
But then you justify it when you actually get those paying customers in and you do the work and you're like, and you see the results, you know whether or not it's worth it or not. You know if you're selling them bullshit or if you're selling them something real. So once you start to actually sell something real, then all of a sudden it doesn't matter what other people say. Instead, you just want the chance to share the product because at the very least, they just know your name and
Yeah,
ideally you get them to just at least follow your content to start, right?
yeah. I
And you
mean,
gain
this.
an audience member.
I mean, it seems like you find alignment. I guess that's the word. That it's a buzzword. Alignment. When you find like your purpose, your mission, and then align it with like your work and career, and I could see how you have like the passion behind it and the energy behind it, which is it's neat to kind of see somebody same age like me, you're you're one of my mentor, one of my coaches, because it's like so much about this business world, and I know a little bit about business world too. I know more about like personal development and stuff, but there's things like when I have like friendships and business relationships, is also like I want to be beneficial and like helpful and service as well to like my friends as well too. So if there's anything like I don't know, like I've noticed you've been biking a lot more. I looked at your stats the other day. I was like, dang, I think you were on a bike for like 4 hours.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I'm
insane.
just getting started back up into it, man. It's been a long time coming, man. It's
Are
funny,
you
I'll
train
tell you that
Have you done
what's
like a century or something like that?
I've done a century myself. Yeah, I biked 100
Yeah,
miles last year. Probably in like September, I think I did it.
yeah.
Um,
That's
I did
pretty
fine. It's definitely challenging for
That's like a
sure,
marathon
but
bike, isn't it? Or is it?
yeah, I mean, I did a 50, the last 50 miler I did was in December. I did 100 in September, but in September I was biking 30 miles a day. So I did over 1,000 miles that month.
Yeah.
And
Is it that do you feel there's any like productivity, like you're more productive when you're training more intense or more consistently?
oh,
There right?
a
Because it's
hundred
like
percent, man. Like
I get, you know,
I
what?
learned for me,
Yeah,
like, and actually just recently, like this was something that I'm now able to draw the line or connect the dots way clearer on this time this go around. So I realized when I hit funks, right? And when I hit a funk, I'm typically not present. I'm
yeah,
typically spending the majority of that time thinking and worrying about the future and getting angry and, you know, resentful is probably a little bit strong, but kind of resentful in a way of the past, right? So I think about I think about the stressors that I have that's coming up in the future parts of my life. And then immediately equate that to the things that I did or didn't do in my past that are aiding towards that future. And when I get focused on those two things and I'm not focused in on the present moment, I get stressed. I
yeah,
get slightly
yeah,
depressed. I get into my own head. I get quiet, right? And I'm not a very quiet person. And my wife knows it. My wife is always like, she's on it. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm focused. Like, and what I realize is I'm struggling with getting into the present moment. So what happens, or what I found out this go around, and one of the things that I think helped me so much when I was biking so avidly in the past, is I started hopping back up on my bike, and I was like,
hmm
let me just go for a ride.
yeah,
And it's funny, Sam, man, you'll appreciate this. So I was riding to the beach. The beach is only like 5 miles, 7 miles down the road. So I was biking to the beach, and I'd just done a 30-mile ride the day before. And as I'm biking to the beach, my chest was burning, my legs were feeling fatigued, my back was sore, and like I was breathing heavy. And I had this kind of moment where my mind truly was separated from my body, and
yeah,
I was almost like looking down at my lower self, right? And just admiring my body, and just like I started laughing. I just started laughing with joy. Like I was like, "Oh my God, this is what it feels like to be alive." Like this, like
yeah.
all of
It's,
these feelings that the body's experiencing right now, this is
it's
what it
like
feels like to be alive.
it's like when who David Goggins is.
Yeah,
He's
of course.
as popular as like Jocko. Like I love David Goggins because I resonate with him because like the stuff that he shares, it's like him being like he's hurting and like that hurt that other side of you is like real. Like doing hard stuff, like riding a bike when it's because you always hit like a threshold where it's fucking hard. And once you get past that a little bit, your mindset almost shifts from like normal to like a different mode. So like
Hmm.
I last night because I was just feeling like shit this whole weekend was just up and down, up and down. I'm the same with you. It's like when I get stressed out and not in the present moment, it's like I don't talk too much because I'm worried about my issue that I have that I can't resolve right now, and I'm worried about it. And I get quiet. I'm just like you as well too, and the close people know me as well too. I'm normally talkative and I could talk, and you know I can't talk forever, but getting back, it's like I'm worried I'm not present and stuff, well, what were we talking? We were talking about David Goggins, but where you're able to switch from like regular, and then you switch it into, there's a part of your brain, because neuroscience is starting to become very like popular now, like with Andrew Huberman and everything. He describes there's a part of the, I don't know the name of it, I can't remember like the scientific name for it, but there's a switch. It's like David Goggins goes from David Goggins to Goggins. It's like an alter ego. I have an alter ego as well too. It's when I'm like, I get into enough pain where I'm like, okay, let's go, right? Whereas like, okay, if I'm working out and then I get to like a pain point where like, ah, fucking sucks. Like even like now, like I do enjoy bodybuilding and like training and stuff, but there's times where like it takes a little bit to get going, and then when you get into that switch, and now I've learned um, to get into that switch before the gym. So I have like talking about like my routine before the gym on like Instagram. It's like my gym doesn't start at when I walk in the door. It's about like 30 or 40 minutes before uh, the training session starts, because one, like I take my pre-workout, I watch a motivational video if I'm feeling like down and stuff, and it gets me in this mood. And then when I'm in the training session, it's like I'm already at like 60 miles per hour, and then I ramp it up to like 80 to like 120, and then I bring it down and stuff, bro. But I think what you're getting that personal development from doing hard stuff. That's the point.
Right.
Is when I tell people, hey, do some hard stuff, like go exercise. That teaches a lot, and it could translate a lot into like work life balance. Because okay, the 90 minutes, or like you were on the bike for 4 hours, right? But that was on the weekend. That 40 hours gave you this such high, raised this energy vibrations and everything, and it's like you feel good about yourself. You've put yourself into this like, sometimes people say it's like an altered state or anything. It's like a different state. You're not just like a normal person. You're just like elevated and stuff. So you became elevated, then now you're more productive at work and everything. So that's for me. It's like the more elevated I am, the more I'm killing it in the gym. I'm feeling productive. The thing is, like, I don't always feel productive. I'm productive pretty much a lot of the time. I've learned how to be productive without even feeling like, if I feel like shit, I'm productive. If I feel good, I'm productive, right? It's just a matter of like how, if I feel productive. Like this
Well,
weekend, I was
like, and to your point on that, right, and I've started to, I finally have learned this through these last like 8 months of just focus of myself, right? And I've realized that there are certain things in the near future and future that I just simply cannot solve today.
yeah,
And a lot of times those are things that have happened because of decisions that I've made in the past, right? Good, bad, or ugly, doesn't make a difference. And what I have learned is that if I focus on the present moment, I will get to those things in the future much faster and much more efficient. And oftentimes, the futures that I've either fear or I'm stressing about or I have anxiety about, those never even come to bright because if I focus on the present moment and make effort now, I will mitigate for that risk, right? So, because of that, I've realized like, okay, how do I get into the present moment? How do I be present and focus in on the present, find joy in the present and everything else, and make the action in the present. And that's to your point where like cycling for me helps reground me back in the present.
yeah,
And that I think is the part that I didn't realize when I was doing it so heavily over throughout September. And one of the reasons why my business took off so much was because even if I wasn't productive in that moment, and even if things weren't falling into my lap at that moment, right? Me focusing in on doing something hard for myself and having that accomplishment of something that I'm truly proud of that I did in that moment during that day gave me the energy to keep going on the other stuff
yeah,
where I could face the day with a smile and I could face the challenge with a smile and welcome it and create more problems and bigger problems, like it went from keeping the lights on to my house to now I got to keep the lights on to my house and 8 other people's houses,
yeah.
right? So like
New problems.
New
that you,
problems,
yeah,
new stress, right? Like now all of
yeah.
a sudden the business pulls enough revenue to where if all that revenue is just hitting my pocket, I would be living a great life right now, but it's not. It's hitting the pockets of myself and nine other or eight other people. So it's a different level of stress. So I have to get to a state, a mental state where I'm able to focus in right now, here in the present, and make change and make action with myself. And when I'm on the bike, much like when I was snowboarding, like when I was on my snowboard, right? Nothing in the world mattered besides the next turn that I was going to make, if I even thought that far, right?
Let me ask you real quick. Do you have a name for your when you go from when you're biking because you get into like a warm up and then you get into the zone, right? Do you have like an alter ego name or anything? You
I
thought about
don't.
yeah? You should give it a name.
I like that. I
Yeah,
will,
you
man.
like something that meditate on it, right? I gave myself a name. Like David Goggins has Goggins, you know. It's like almost every superhero has a alter ego name, you know, or a different like state that they could tap into. So maybe think about a name that you're going to be in when you're crushing, you know, 60 plus miles, 80 miles, and 100 miles and stuff. Because that's a hard feat. I remember I biked 50 miles one time and I didn't know anything about nutrition. I was cramping up. I couldn't even hit 50 miles. So it's like, I think I got to like 35 just because my legs are so big. But I mean, that's a pretty neat feat to have accomplished. I think doing that and like that's an endurance athlete type of like mentality. I think you might have lean towards more of a like endurance athlete. Do you swim?
No, but it's on my list. So I did start running
Yeah,
again. I'm able to run a 5K and like
you
fairly
definitely have
easy.
a more of a runner's build versus like so like sometimes like physical training like sometimes I mean I know I inspire people and stuff. People come up to me and like I want to be like you, and I was like, what do you mean, like a bodybuilder? They were like, yeah. I was like, do you like bodybuilding? No, absolutely nothing about bodybuilding, weight training, and what requires it and stuff. But it's like, what do you like? You know, it's like you lean, I think, more towards this endurance type like athlete where you could almost meditate while you're training. That kind of keeps you from like
100%.
getting bored. So it's like endurance athletes, man. Like my first wife, Whitney, she's completed 3 Ironmans. I was so proud of her, you know, like before I met her, and you could tell by her work ethic and how it like translates to life, parenting. She's physically fit. She rebounded from like our kids and everything, and like always present. It's like they're the physical training. Like it doesn't have to be something that you don't like. I could tell you don't like weightlifting.
I don't. I mean, it's my weights have sat
I know
there.
you want Matthew McConaughey,
I
like
do, man. I see like it's like
always talk.
I want the easy button, man. I just want to pay for it. I don't want to fucking do it.
Me too. I want
Where's the
some fucking
pill?
leads. I want some leads in my inbox right now, so I can just
Yeah,
fucking call.
bro. You just want, a couple
You want
hundred
body
paying
program?
customers. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want customers in my inbox like right now. Same thing, right? But
Yep.
the thing is like yes, you do have to lift some weights. Even not even weights, more like calisthenics. For I know what Matthew McConaughey's body looks like. It's like the beach classic physique athletic look. So in bodybuilding, the three divisions. There's the the board shorts. That's where Matthew McConaughey will fall in. Then there's the classic physique. Then there's bodybuilding, like me. Like I want to look like a monster. I want to look like everything striated, jacked. That's the hardest division. That's why I chose that division. But the division that you're looking at is like classic or like physique. They look like Beach Boys. That's what you want to look like. So
Yeah.
the workouts are pretty easy. Pull ups, push ups, right? Air squats, and to get that athletic look, throw in some kettlebells. So you don't have to do it every day, but if you do that consistently, you'll build on a little bit more size, and then you'll get the more like you're already lean. You just don't have like that much muscle on. So if you put on a little bit more muscle, you'll just see a little bit more definition. And you do that consistently for like 6 months, you'll probably see some really good results. Just
I believe
incorporate.
that.
Yeah,
I totally believe that.
you
And
know?
it's funny because it's like ramping me back up. Like I thought about it this morning. I was up at 5 and I was like, I'm gonna work out before I do the podcast. And then my kid woke up and then it's like, and then I have excuses, right? And then I have all the excuses in the world. So I make all these excuses and I can justify them and then I didn't do it. So at the end of the day, I just didn't do it though, right? And so, but I totally get what you're saying and you're spot on. Like I found a lot of joy in accomplishing longer distances, right? And I saw this recently that it really resonated with me, which was like, okay, so I biked 35 miles on Saturday. Great, right? But it's the accumulation of that over time that actually matters. That's when it becomes impressive.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when I did 30 miles a day every single day, yeah, that was impressive for myself and for those that knew me, right? I did over 30 days straight of 30 miles a day, but then I
Mm.
stopped. And then, like so it's like this I think for me it's for now it's like okay, I'm going to start to do this every single day. This time I'm not going to timestamp it at like 30 a day for 30, but I
Mm.
am going to get back out there. And it's funny, man, because when I get into that mode where I am biking longer distances, I want to see how far I can go. Like
Yeah.
before, had I kept my path, I had it on my calendar in October that I was going to bike 200 miles. I was going to bike from here across Florida to the east side of Florida. And totally 100% could have done it. Like I felt like I could have done it. I feel like I still could do it, right? But
Mm.
I need to ramp myself back up to it. But after I hit that 30 days of 30, then I was like, oh, I'll take a break. Oh, I'll take a break. Oh, I'll take a break. And then comfort just set in, right? And then
Yeah,
like
like,
comfort's
I
the
gonna
fucking
say don't
worst
take
drug in the world.
like get off. Like to me, like I've never taken a break from bodybuilding or from like lifting weights. I like gotten really intense and then kind of plateaued there and stuff. But it's like yeah, taking breaks like it's in businesses like you always regret it when taking a break. Like I took a break and it sucked because we ramping everything up, right? So it's like I'm at a point in my life like, I'm committed to business now, right? To entrepreneurship. Like before, I was like a little bit of entrepreneurship, a little bit of corporate lifestyle. I was like, okay, full time entrepreneurship, right? And then now it's a commitment, like your fitness commitment. It's like, okay, you created this vision. You I didn't tell you to you want to look like Matthew McConaughey. I think it's a good fucking look. Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
There you go.
Me and my boys like, yo, Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
There you
Brad Pitt
go.
was or in Troy is
Oh yeah,
is
he was
fuck
ripped.
of his. When he was in Troy, I was like, damn, he pulled off a good fucking look. And the thing is, like, with physique, you could like I know like I that's my area expertise. Your area expertise is digital marketing. Is like I could actually like teach you how to develop something specific. Like if you wanted to look like a certain look, whether you want to look like Brad Pitt and stuff, it's like okay, you actually don't really have to go to heavy lifting to look like Brad Pitt. For to look similar to like me, you would have to do a lot of heavier lifting, a lot of volume and stuff. But for like Brad Pitt's training style, it's very similar. It's the push-ups, pull-ups, calisthenics, a lot of like high intensity intervals, staying lean. So I think that's where you kind of direct your
You
training.
you know what would be fascinating, right? And this is something I know that they have some AI systems out there, but I think that maybe this might be an opportunity as you're thinking about your offer, right? So I something that I've always thought about that I would love because I'm a numbers guy, right? So I'm imagining what if you did like a 30-minute, 45-minute consultation, right? And let's say in the consultation it was a video consultation. And literally you're like, all right, Danny, take your shirt off. Now tell me what you want to see, like where you want to see it, right? So it's like, and pull up another picture. So pull up the Matthew McConaughey with his shirt off and let's compare it against your body, right? So then it's like, okay, I want to see that I have more, like my chest up here is really like flat, low. Like I don't have a big chest. So like getting more chest up top, right? Probably rounded shoulders, more definition in the biceps, like a little bit bigger arms. Not nothing anything crazy, right? But I would go through this process, like trim down the lower ab a little bit more, right? So I'd like show that to you. And then maybe even ideally, you're like, all right, Danny, take a tape measure, like go get, and maybe this is too much of a barrier entry, but I don't know, just something to think about. But it's like,
Yeah,
I'd be happily like measuring myself on video and like having you tell me like where to measure and like write those notes down. And
yeah,
then at the end of it, you deliver over just a basic workout plan of like a calisthenic workout plan, right? Where it's like, all right, do this. Here's your roadmap. Guarantee you'd follow that roadmap, and you start to eat the X, Y, or Z. You're going to be
yeah,
at that position in 6 months, right? So something like that, I think like that's something that at least I haven't personally seen where like someone's like, hey, I'm going to give you a customized workout plan for free,
yeah,
right? And I'm going to get it done within 30 minutes. Something of that nature, short and sweet. Because what would happen with someone like me is like if say you got my attention, and I was like, all right, Samnang, I want to do this. So we hop on the Zoom, and like I'm obviously at this point now, I'm like going intimate with you and telling you exactly how I want my body to look, and like that's an intimate position for a lot of guys, and especially to talk about the things that they don't like about their body, because guys are so accustomed to like, oh, I'm Mr. Alter, Mr. Ego guy. So like to go through that process, get the customized workout routine because here's what you're betting on, which is probably going to happen that 99% of the people that you give that custom workout routine to, they're simply not going to do it.
yeah. They're gonna need a coach.
They're not, yeah, they're going to need a coach. And more important, they just need an accountability buddy, right? And someone to help motivate them and to get the numbers back. So
Yeah,
then you
I
can
think that's
enter
a
them in to like your CRM and ping them, automatically ping them on a text for
yeah,
the next 4 weeks. Hey, did you start working out yet? Did you start that plan? Did you start that plan? Just hitting their inbox, hitting their text inbox, right? Did you start that thing? Did you start it? Did you start it? Right? And if I just start getting those reminders, what's going to happen is I'm going to get frustrated with myself because I'm probably not going to have done it, and I'm probably going to start to get angry about the whole system,
yeah,
right? And I just don't have the time. I don't have the time, and I'm going to give you every excuse under the sun as to why I'm not doing it and why I'm not going to do it and why I'm getting even more frustrated with this process. And that's the
yeah.
perfect time that you can then enter and be like, look, here's what we're going to do.
We created a problem,
Yep,
and then we're
exactly.
gonna solution at the same time. That's basically it. It's like you're telling me. It's like I'm thinking about it, you're talking about it. It's like I'm catching the red cars. I was like, okay, we're creating a problem and also solving the problem at the same time while we're
That's it.
building.
That's it. Like, and I think you got to think about it that way, right? Because a lot of these people, too, especially in your line of work, where they might know somewhere buried deep down inside of them that they have some type of a problem, whether it be physical, mental, whatever the case is,
Yeah,
but they're not going to let that surface and they're
yeah,
not going to talk about it and they're not going to, be open about that, right? So, but them taking the act of doing a 30 minute, assessment with you, virtual assessment, knowing that they're going to get a plan on the back end is going to take that buried problem and it's going to start to elevate it. And then to have the follow up and the accountability where it's like, did you do it today? You should be at X amount of reps. Have you done X amount of reps? Hey, based off of your workout plan, right? And each text message that hits needs to build on each one, so you're continuing to tell that story. So by the time the 4 week mark hits, if they haven't lifted a finger or done anything, that problem's gonna be up flashing in their fucking face, and that's when it's like, hey, listen, here's what we're gonna do.
yeah,
Like, I'm gonna get you. We're gonna do 1 week. I'm gonna commit to 1 week with you, and we're gonna get through it every single day. I'm gonna text you every single day. We're gonna get through it.
yeah. You're definitely helping me break through this because I was definitely like I was hitting a creative block. That's why I was feeling like I was kind of plateauing, just because I've been putting so much brain power into this like marketing thing. But it's helping me think it through. I was really, really struggling with niching down because when you niche down, it seems like you're losing like this whole because I'm a bodybuilder. I was like, maybe I tailored my coaching towards bodybuilding. I was like, no, but I think it's like men's lifestyle might be it. But then it's like, oh, fitness, bodybuilding, like completely, right? It's like you're almost giving up like this part to like really niche down. But it's like, I think I could bodybuild and I could still promote that as part of like this lifestyle that I think ideally, like, I can inspire people. Is like I could still like the real why. It's like, okay, I want to show people that you could actually build a lifestyle around things that you enjoy, right? That's the real big reason why I want to do it. Like, I enjoy bodybuilding and being able to coach people towards a lifestyle that they want. So I guess that's a good why, for fathers. Why for fathers is because I think we all struggle, men especially, is like we want something that's that we could balance everything, and it's a challenge. I still have challenges. I still struggle too. So it's also like I could speak from. Now I'm not a perfect person, but I'm also like a coach that's trying to do what we're all trying to do is have it all, have the money, have the body, have the great relationships, have the freedom. Man, to me, that's what I think. For me, what it sums down to is like my big why in this. And this keeps like me waking up and trying to grind through all this work, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's spot on. And look, like, there's nothing wrong with niching down, right? Like, you've heard the niches or riches are in the niches, right?
Yeah,
And it's, I think that that's spot on. But also, you have to, like, for you to be able to, like, I've learned this too within my business, right? There is a moment where you do have to take on a wider range of clientele that isn't necessarily niche down. And that's
yeah,
really when you're first kind of getting started, because you need revenue, but also you need the past performance. You need to find out what you do like and what you don't like. So, in some regard, yes, I do agree that you should niche down, but maybe you are a little premature to niche down because you don't have an audience that you're niching just yet. You're
uh,
starting to build it. So when you look at it this way, maybe you take on the single dad, and maybe you take on the, family man, or maybe you take on the bachelor, whatever the case is, right? You take on a wider variety, and
yeah,
you're going to find what you like and what you don't like in that process, right? And you might find that, man, the bachelors are great because they apply this shit every single day, right? But I can't stand the fact that, that I'm not seeing them do X, Y, or Z, right? Like, that part there's a part of it that you're struggling with, versus like the family man. Love working with them because, they definitely see the impact to their family, but they just don't ever have the time. And I'm
yeah,
sick of holding hands and babying these people. Like, I want someone that's going to be more self-driven, right? And so on and so forth, until you kind of find down the ideal customer. That's what it means by ideal customer, right? It's not necessarily the one that can stroke a check. That's
yeah,
not what an ideal customer is. An ideal customer is one that not only subscribes to your offer and subscribes to your systems, but is getting results. And
yeah,
that's where you're going to want to drive it. And then all of a sudden you start to niche it down. So, for a real example within my business, so web development and lead generation, right? When I first started this business, I thought, well, originally it was like really more fractional CMO work and strategy work, right? So that's where I was going after it. And my angle of attack was I was going to use AI and I was going to do organic SEO, right? Like, that's what I thought was going to be the big winner for me.
yeah,
So I pushed SEO and I got a couple different customers in the SEO space, but then I started figuring out, like, well, wait a second, like, my customers in SEO, I mean, granted, they're long-term customers, but they're not getting the immediate results that business owners want. They want a faster result. So then I was like, well, maybe I'll add in paid ads. And then as I started to boil it down, I started realizing, well, wait a second, these guys don't have lead generation right to begin with. They don't even have an offer. They need an offer. So now I'm going to go in, I'm going to start to focus in on the offer. And then that's when it came up with the solution where it was like, okay, now we go in, we do the offer, then we do the calls, then we do the
hmm
scale,
hmm
right? So it took me a long time to figure that out, which then ultimately, as I figured this process out, I realized what kind of ideal customer I have. Typically, they're doing 10 to $20 million in gross revenue per year. They don't have a sales team. They don't have a marketing team. They don't have a CRM. They've been building their entire business off of relationships. Bingo. That's who I'm niching down in on that
yeah,
particular product. Same thing in web development. I started with mom and pop shops up to large e-commerce builds, and like what makes us tick and what's good with what we're doing. And what I realized is large e-commerce. Those are our ideal customer for our big builds.
Hmm.
And then the smaller mom and pop stuff, I'm niching down into a specific vertical on that end
Yeah.
that's underserviced. And that's where I see the big opportunities, right? So my point is that I'm in the process, like, as I'm going through scale within my business, I'm niching
Yeah.
to scale.
Okay.
And but I didn't start that way. It started with a much wider aperture.
Right. And then you niche down, niche down. I think I'm on that. I think I'm gonna hit a group and then tend to niche down. That's what I've been coached on as well too. So I think, they hit a lot. It resonates and stuff. So it's good. So
We should
when you
talk
were
more, man.
huh?
There's another CRM system that I'm working on that I'm building right now. It
Yeah.
connects into school and everything else, but I'll have to chat with you about that.
Is it hub
Um,
or
no, I've been a HubSpot user for a long time. This is a
uh
different CRM. It's called Go High Level, and it's one that agencies like myself can use and leverage, and we can build the CRM to be totally custom, and then we can white label it, right? So basically, it turns us into more of a SaaS company. But what's cool about that is I can bake our IP into these systems, right? So it's way more
what
customizable,
I internet provider?
intellectual property. So like our IP is like it's intellectual property, right? It's the way that we do things. That's
Okay.
our IP. So like for instance, the way that you run your program is your IP. And then you need something like school where you can bolt on your thought leadership pieces to turn school from a school platform to the Peak Performance Academy.
Mm-hmm.
The difference that makes school from school to the Peak Performance Academy is Samnang Man and your intellectual property that you've configured this
Oh,
thing
okay.
to
I'm
behave.
the I'm the IP.
That you're the IP. That's right. My
Yeah.
business is the IP. Right,
You big
exactly. So we bake in our strategies, our methods into this system catered to the lead gen side, and then we can sell that back as a licensed product. But my
yeah.
my point to it is as we're talking through this, right? Like there's a lot of things that you can automate in this process, so you're not having to handhold the entire thing. And until you get someone who's hyper responsive, then you have to obviously respond, right? So, but like automating text messages for follow ups, automating, and more important than the follow ups is the accountability part of it, right? Like that, I think is
Coaching is very
where,
good, is I think. Like the
yeah,
follow up of making sure because I think I was I heard somebody say why do we have teachers, why do we have professors, why do we have coaches and stuff, it's like to help you get you through the program. I was like, oh yeah. And I thought for me it's like I always thought about like a coach develops person, right? But it's like, okay, if I create a program, I help you get through the program, right? I'm making you develop, or helping you develop and stuff. So it's like, okay,
yeah,
it made total sense. Sometimes it's like you have these thoughts in your head, but when it comes up, you're like, all right, okay, it sticks. Yeah, just
dude,
thought,
I should get you in touch with our friend. Her name's Ashley Christine. She runs AK Fitness.
uh,
She's out of Nashville, and she's been doing it for over 5 years. She makes her living between this and Airbnb.
yeah,
But
yeah, on Instagram or
yeah, I think her Instagram is AK Fitness.
yeah,
I'll send it to you, but it's my wife's best friend. Maybe I'll see about pulling her in as a guest. But that would be a good one for you to kind of pick her brain on as far as how she grew her
yeah,
business and what it was like. Because she went from being an elementary school teacher to a personal fitness coach. And it was slow and challenging and hard. And now she has her own gym. And it
oh
took
wow,
her
five
years
years,
to get to that point.
yeah,
So it's interesting though. It's very synonymous to kind of like your journey and your path. But that would be someone we could possibly bring on. I'm sure she'd be down.
yeah. I think we got to get some female perspective onto the show for sure. I think that we were talking about that earlier about our guests and stuff. We've had more of a men following, but we I think we got to wrap up the show, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. I think it's we're at time for sure. But
great talk.
um, yeah, I mean, look, I'm gonna do this. So I'm continuing to bike. I'm gonna start throwing in some push-ups because I need to start doing
Push-ups
push-ups.
and pull-ups. Pull-ups, I think people are like underrated. That is a great show of like physical fitness. Like if you could do 15, remember like I used to do like I always held a standard. Like if you have a number in your head like 15, never go below it or kind of stay within that range. Because pull-ups I think are better than push-ups because one, it requires effort. A lot of people could do push-ups, and also like if you get too heavy, it'll tell you if you got too heavy, and it'll also tell you if you got stronger a lot easier than push-ups because for you to be able to do 15 pull-ups, you have to be at the right weight and you have to be at the right strength level. So it's very like for me to get like that athletic look, I would say definitely focus on the pull-ups and then push-ups next, and then squats, and then like kettlebell swings. Those are like the four big, probably four
Okay.
big things for you to build that.
I'm gonna start with 15 pull-ups. That's my target.
Yeah,
See if I can,
good thing
because I think
is
I can do. I could probably knock out like four, and then I'm gonna be gassed.
yeah, and then keep doing it and keep doing it till you could actually do sets of 15. Like I don't want to brag, but I think I could do like four sets of 15. So it's like I'm gonna pull up. That's why my back is so big. It's all about the pull
Nice.
up.
Nice. Okay, cool. I'm gonna start working on. I'll start. I got a pull-up bar right here, so I'm gonna start working in on getting
There
pull-ups
you go.
in.
Awesome,
And
man.
then for you, go talk to a random person and pitch your offer.
Go
Do it
pitch.
this week. Just grab one random person. Ideally, you do more than one, but start with just one.
Yeah.
One random person, and here's the opener line is the most critical aspect, right? Which is, "Hey, so and so, sorry to bother you. Real quick, my name's Sam Ning. I've been running my own small business. Can I just give you a 30-minute or 30-second pitch? I want to get your feedback." Right? And enter in with that. And you'll figure out how you're going to phrase that to get them to listen. Most will. But just be like, hey, like, I just wanted to ask you, like, love your shoes, whatever. Like, pick something, like, to get the conversation going. You know, can I just take 30 seconds of your time? I want to I'm trying out my pitch right now for my business. I love your honest feedback. You look like someone that, this might resonate with, or, at least, or someone that I would respect the opinion of, right? That's probably a better way to phrase that. I'm like,
Um,
sure, go ahead. And then
yeah.
pitch it and see what happens.
Yeah. I think I'll go. I'll definitely do that this week. I'll let you know Friday or Monday how the feedback is, and then we'll go from there. I think the market
All right,
research,
I'll
good.
tell you what. I'll tell you what. Here's what I'll also commit to. I will turn my camera to my door and I will do the pull-ups on the show
Oh
to
yeah,
show you how many. I will max my pull-ups out. Ben will be on, whatever. He
at
can
least
see.
one set.
I will
That'd be
max my pull-ups on the show first thing in the
we'll make a
morning.
part of the intro.
Yep. But that means that you have to come back with feedback from your pitch. So we have to do these two things. And then I will do my pull-ups on the show.
Yeah, it makes us
All
both
right.
nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes
You're
us
going to see
little
scrawny ass Danny getting his ass up there.
yeah. Okay. All right, my brother. Good chatting with you today, and hope you're productive. Let me know if you need anything. I'll put the show notes up, and then catch back up on Friday. Everybody else, thanks for watching. You guys want to be a guest on the show, please let us know. Any topics that you want us to discuss, or fitness, whatever we talk about and stuff, business, entrepreneurship, even if it's outside of that as well too. I think we're getting to topics that I think we're just kind of beating the horse, or I don't know. Well, totally up to you guys, but other topics that you want to discuss as well too, feedback. But all right,
Yep,
that's
this has been FIFO, flow in, flow out. New episodes every Monday at 6 a.m., Friday at 4 p.m. Samnang Man, my co-host Danny Marawinski. We are signing off, and we'll see you guys on Friday. Let's crush it this week.
all right. Let's crush it. Let's go.
See ya, man.